Today we are discussing Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. Good. The thing is, this book is very different from any other stories in the Harry Potter universe. So I sort of tried to look at it as a separate thing because it's written as a play. It's not written like a novel. I am familiar with reading plays. I used to be in theater, so this wasn't a foreign concept to me, but I can see how a lot of people could be thrown off by this and it would like make the story a bit weirdly paced. Just be warned if you haven't read it yet and you didn't know that it was in play format. My review of this book isn't super great. I'm gonna be completely honest. I enjoyed it because it's Harry Potter and I love Scorpius. He is my favorite character. I'm so glad that he is in the Harry Potter universe now. But a lot of things in this book just really didn't sit well with me. A lot of the characters were super out of character in a lot of parts, and just that's pretty much all I can say without spoiling. I would obviously recommend reading this because it's a Harry Potter book, you know, and everyone's entitled to their own opinions. My opinion does not mean that you're gonna dislike this book or think it's anything less than fantastic. So keep that in mind. And now we are entering spoiler section, so leave if you haven't read this, or stay if you don't care. First, let's talk about my favorite thing in this book, which is Scorpius and Albus. I love them. They are so adorable. Before the book came out, people were obviously theorizing like what the characters of the next generation would be like, and it was just such a surprise because in like all the next gen things that I had seen, Scorpius was this badass, edgy kid, and in the book he's this nerd. In a lot of the next gen edits that I've seen, people were shipping Scorpius and Rose before the book even came out. People liked the idea of that, I guess. And I did too. That was what everyone was shipping, so I was like, sure, let's jump on that train, why don't we? And then the book happened, and I didn't ship it. Like, even a little bit. That might be because Rose is just so badass, and I don't know, I feel like she would accidentally crush Scorpius. But it's also a bit because, as I was reading, I was sort of expecting Albus and Scorpius to become a couple. It's like a lot of things in the writing were just leading up to that, and then when that didn't happen, I was just kind of like, oh, that's weird. It kind of bothered me because it's, you know, it's a Harry Potter novel. It's a big deal. There was such an opening for some LGBT representation, and it just didn't happen. But then I have to remember that this is mainstream media, it's Harry Potter. It's unlikely that that would happen. Sad that that's the truth, but it is. They're on the train, and they're getting up to shenanigans. The trolley witch. I don't know how you guys feel about the trolley witch, but I was very confused. Just before I had read this book, I had read the entire Percy Jackson series, beginning to end, so the trolley lady really hit me as like, is this a mashup between Harry Potter and Percy Jackson? Because you have to admit, the trolley lady, that was very Percy Jackson, Miss Dodds sort of stuff. Like, she has spikes, she transformed into some monster thing, I don't know, she was throwing her candies and they were grenades. It was very strange. So they go back in time for the first time and they come back and nothing really seems to be too off except for the fact that Ron is not married to Hermione. He is in fact married to Padma. But something that kind of made me a bit like, what? Was the fact that Hermione wasn't Minister of Magic because she wasn't with Ron. And that just doesn't make sense to me. If Hermione and Ron never got together, Hermione would still become Minister of Magic. She wouldn't let a guy get in the way of her success. So they try to go back in time again to fix that and also save Cedric Diggory, and then Scorpius comes out of the lake alone and he's like, what's happening? Who greets him other than Dolores Umbridge? This part of the book was probably my favorite. It was just really interesting to see what would have happened if Voldemort won the Battle of Hogwarts, but it was also the part I found so ridiculous because, I mean, Voldemort Day and the Blood Ball, and instead of saying, oh crap, people say, oh Potter. I lost it. I was on the beach and I was reading this book. I just started laughing. And I hate the fact that the rumor that Scorpius was Voldemort's child was like cool and like in that world, and he became popular because of it. And I'm like, no, Scorpius would hate that. That rumor, the fact that that rumor is a thing was insane. I mean, Scorpius and Draco literally look exactly alike. How could Draco not be his father? I don't understand. And also the part where Albus was like, I don't think Voldemort could ever have a son as kind as you. My emotions got me. There were a lot of good emotional parts. Like when Draco and Harry had that sort of one-on-one talking thing and Draco was like, it was a very lonely thing being Draco Malfoy. And I was just like, they sort of became friends, and it was good. It was good because I always wanted Draco to have a redemption arc in Deathly Hallows, and he didn't really get it. And he sort of got it in this. One of the biggest problems I had with this book was that Harry Potter was not the Harry Potter that I had grown to love. He would say things and do things that I'm like, this isn't Harry. The thing is, Harry knows what it's like to be unwanted as a kid. He knows what it's like to be alone and to feel like an outcast in his family. The Dursleys weren't exactly family. And then he tells his child that he wishes that he wasn't his son. And it blows my mind that he would say that. Harry said some not cool things to McGonagall. She always had his back. To hear Harry say the things that he said to her was appalling. He would never tell McGonagall, oh, well, you don't have kids, so you don't know what it's like. All right, she helped you through so many things, and you dare say that to McGonagall. Harry. But one thing I was very happy about that Harry did, because I wanted him to do it like in the books. Oh, whoa, hi. I wanted him to call out Dumbledore for leaving him on Privet Drive for all that time. And he finally called him out for that, and Dumbledore was like, oh, I didn't want to get attached. And Harry was like, that's bull. Even though he didn't call out the real Dumbledore, he yelled at his painting. Still, I cannot believe I skipped over this. Oh my gosh, going back to the alternate reality where Voldemort won. The reason that Voldemort won was because Neville died. And who killed Neville? Other than Cedric Diggory. Cedric Diggory became a Death Eater because he was embarrassed. Cedric Diggory would never do that. And that really bothered me because I feel like this story just crapped on his name. Like, his character is not the same. They somehow needed to show that Cedric surviving was a terrible thing, but I mean, come on. Cedric wouldn't. He's an awful pup. And finally, let's talk about Delphi. Obviously, something was off about her from the very beginning. She's like this grown woman that is trying to convince these younger boys to go back in time and save her cousin. Like, but it's just, you're telling me that Bellatrix Lestrange and Voldemort, who is 1/8 of a person, got it on and had a child sometime before the Battle of Hogwarts. Like, amidst all the horror that happened here, Voldemort and Bellatrix got together and had a child. Doesn't make sense. It doesn't. Voldemort was so not human, you know? He would never put himself in such a vulnerable place, you know, to have sex with someone. He would never put himself in that position. And I didn't even think that he'd be able to conceive a child, 'cause, you know, he isn't a full human. I do like how everything was resolved in the end. Everyone's friends. Scorpius and Albus aren't forced apart anymore. That was ridiculous, Harry. A lot of things about this book were a mess, but for some reason, I enjoyed reading it. So, I don't know. It might be because it's just Harry Potter, and I love Harry Potter, so that, like, knocks it up a couple points for me. Maybe it's because I just really don't want to dislike this book. That's all I can think of to say right now, so if you have anything to add, don't hesitate to comment below and add to the discussion. I would love to know what you guys thought of all the things that happened. Hope you guys enjoyed this book talk. If you did, let me know. I have Goodreads if you want to know what I'm reading currently, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.
You are much stronger than I feel. Your eyes are filled with fire, and your spine is made of steel, and home isn't always a place.
The worst part about filming ever is that I have to turn my fan off and it's hot. It's hot, because I live in Texas. Texas is warm. LGBT representation. Ugh, that is hard to say. It was LGBT why can't I say that?